What's up, everybody, and welcome to Malt Muser Whiskey Reviews. I am Eric. On the bar for today, it's a single malt Scotch from the Highlands, aged in sherry. We are looking at Glenfarclas, 21 years old, Whiskey Exchange exclusive. As always, here on the channel, nose taste finisher review of this whiskey coming your way in just a few moments. I'll tell you a bit about the value. I'll give you my final thoughts. I'll give you a final score and leave you with a malt musing. But first, if you've yet to take a second, smash that subscribe button. But make sure you don't miss these reviews. I drop them every Friday here on YouTube. I also do a Tuesday happy hour, Tasty Tuesday live stream every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Would love to see you there. Okay, Glenfarclas. As I mentioned, it is a Highland whiskey. They are mostly known for their sherried whiskeys. They age most of their stuff in Oloroso sherry. They have a series of releases that are widely available here in the United States, including a 21-year-old. However, the 21-year-old we are looking at today is a very special release from the world-famous Whiskey Exchange in London, England. So it comes in a little bit of a different box. And of course, this kind of Art Deco design here on the bottle. So this one in particular, yes, Oloroso sherry, 21 years old, 54.2% ABV. Now their regular release 21-year-old, you're looking at a 43% release. So the ABV is kicked up a bit on this one. It does not say anything on here about chill filtration or natural color. So we can assume, I guess, that they have done both of those unfortunate things to this whiskey. Double checking here. No, it does not say anything about it. Okay. One other thing I'll mention, well, two things about Glenfarclas. So number one, they are a family-owned distillery, one of the very few left in Scotland these days. Most have been swallowed up by big conglomerates like Diageo, Moët Hennessy, et cetera, et cetera. The second thing is that they still direct fire their stills. So you can imagine the old way of making whiskey to heat your stills, you have fire going underneath it. Well, Glenfarclas still does it that way. Supposedly gives it a little bit of an extra kind of richness, a little bit more kind of provincial flavor, as it were. To each his own on that. Anyways, so we got a fully sherry 21-year-old whiskey at 54.2%. That's exciting. More alcohol means more flavor. That is the color. We have a generous pour here as I am finishing this bottle. Okay, here we go. On the nose. Quite nice. Immediately, sweet fruits. We are thinking sweet red fruits in the strawberry type. Maybe even a little bit of cherry, some vanilla. There's also a nice backbone on this whiskey of very even, I wouldn't, almost muted kind of baking spices, Christmas spices. We're talking about allspice. We're talking about nutmeg. We're talking about a little bit of clove. I'm getting some hints of raspberry. Very subtle though. Vanilla, caramel, some light honey, maybe even a little bit of citrus. All in all, there's a pretty nice nose coming here, as you would expect from a whiskey that spent 21 years in a sherry cask. Interesting note, however, is the amount of kind of fresh, sweet fruit notes here. Now, normally, the longer a whiskey ages, the more, especially in sherry, it goes from sweet to dry. And that, of course, is because of oxidization. You're getting a nice combination of both here, which honestly is quite nice. Okay, let's give this a taste. Cilantro. Okay. Big flavor, a lot of red fruit, bit of spice coming in on the background here. Almost more assertive than you would expect. Yes, it is 54% ABV, but it's also 21 years old. This isn't the mellowest whiskey you would expect at 21 years old. It's quite lively. Getting some darker fruits now, raisin, fig kind of thing, milk chocolate, dark chocolate coming through. It's going into a nice medium to medium long finish, hints of coffee bean, a little bit of charred oak. Let's do another neat sip here. Rich, flavorful, pretty good. Yeah, the raisin thing is really what's catching my attention here. Not, it doesn't show up on the nose much, but boy, this whiskey gets darker, more jammy on the palate. And again, this nice medium long finish. Yeah, dark chocolate. I mean, the most characteristic dark chocolate note you can imagine is really what you're left with here on the finish. Okay, let's do just a few drops of water here. Bring this down a couple notches. I'm gonna do 5 drops on this. Again, it doesn't say it's cask strength, but it's near cask strength. Wow. Blackberry currant kind of thing going on now. Very interesting how the nose has went from kind of the sweet, lighter red fruits to much darker berries, even on the nose with water. A lot more coming out. Again, always put a couple drops of water on your whiskey. Try it neat first, definitely. Try a few drops, always. Why? It's going to give you a bit more of the profile of the whiskey. It's going to break up those alcohol molecules, separate them, allow more of the flavors, as it were, to come out. And we're definitely noticing it here. A little bit of like a lemon, maybe even a little soapy note, which is a little off-putting, but subtle. All right, here we go. Still a bit hot. Whew. And aggressive on that nose. Winston the Whiskey Cat, you got opinions on this? Why don't you come on up here? We'll see what he has to say. Seal of approval? No, still haven't found a whiskey he likes. Again, though, back to the whiskey. It does just have this level of heat that, makes you wonder, honestly, like the quality of the casks here. Yes, you are getting a lot of flavor, a lot of dark flavor, a lot of richness, but also the heat on this, even at 54%, I've come across a lot of whiskeys that are higher in age and higher in ABV like this one that just doesn't have this level of heat to it. Even with water, it still seems awfully aggressive. And we'll talk a little bit more about Glenfarclas and their cask selection in the final thoughts here. But anyways, back to the whiskey itself. I'm getting a little bit of a marzipan, that dark chocolate thing still here. Let's do one more taste. Really nice mouthfeel. The arrival and development is really the best part of this whiskey. The nose, a little bit shape-shifting. The finish, hot. Dark chocolate. So you got a hot, bitter thing kind of going on here. But there are some nice fruit notes. It's trying to pop their way through. Still a lot of tingle on the tongue here, almost like chili pepper. Huh. Okay, let's talk value. So this is not an everyday whiskey. How many bottlings of it that they actually have? Does it say? It does not. But of course, this was a selected bottle by the Whiskey Exchange. So you're not going to find these every day. Again, the presentation here, a little bit different. This is not the normal presentation we see in the United States. A bottle of this is, you are looking at, in UK pounds, this is in that 260, 250 range. So this is around a $253, $100 bottle. which for a 21-year-old at cask strength probably makes sense. Maybe you'll find it a hair cheaper. Really depends if it's on sale. Again, exclusive whiskey, yes. The value you're getting here for the money, I think it's a bit overpriced. And we'll talk a bit more about why I think that as we get into the final thoughts, which after this sip of whiskey, we will do. So, final thoughts. First thing I want to say, as I've been sipping this, I am getting a bit of this kind of copper, nickel, metallic alkaline note, which some would say is coming from the direct firing of the stills. Very possible. Let's talk about Glenfarclas here. This may be one a little bit longer of a final thoughts than I normally do, but we'll get to the score. Don't worry. First things first, not one of my favorite distilleries. Most of the United States releases of this, up to, you have this 25-year-old, a 21-year-old, a 17, a 12, a 10. They're all 43%. They're all rather languid, pretty boring whiskeys. There are many better sherry whiskeys out on the market. And part of this, as I've discovered on my whiskey journey, is that Glenfarclas, despite their family ownership, their direct firing, old world style stills of whiskey making, most folks attribute this to using very tired casks, very old multi, casks that have been used perhaps more than they should have been to age whiskey in, which is what gives it, unfortunately, its lack of kind of characteristic complexity and boldness. The whiskey we're looking at here today is a bit of an exception to that. This is different. This one, obviously a lot higher ABV, which is bringing more flavor. Again, alcohol molecules carry the flavor. So while they're 21-year-old, they're 25, even the higher aged ones, while at good prices here in the US, at that 43% with the tired cask, you are really still not getting a great whiskey for the money. This one, however, with this higher ABV, you are getting a bit more. And that more is coming in the form of boldness, of intensity, which is something that I think would be welcome to a lot of folks who like Glenfarclas or want to like Glenfarclas or like sherry whiskey for that matter. That all said, the price on this is a bit high. I mean, looking at over $200, $250, maybe even closer to $275, it's quite a hefty price. This is still way too hot for what it should be at 21 years old. I mean, I've had other non-age statement sherry bombs like this that have this level of heat, but they don't have 21 years of age. So are they using tired casks again here that are just not really rounding up this whiskey? Very possible. I trust the Whiskey Exchange. It's a great place, but this selection in particular, it's not a bad whiskey. It's just not quite what you would want for the money. And the last thing I'll mention is it really took to the end of this bottle for me to enjoy this. For the most part, I was disappointed with this whiskey throughout the entire duration of it. We are now drinking the final drips of this, which is really what's coming through here. So all in all, it wasn't a great full whiskey experience for me. I am enjoying it now more than I have at all, but that doesn't say a whole lot. My final score on this is going to be a 3.25, which means I'm giving it a tick above average because I think there's a lot of positive attributes here, but the things that really fail me on Glenfarclas are happening here again. And, all in all, the price on this is just not justified for what you're getting, in my opinion. So is this something you need to rush out and try and find? Probably not. So I'll give this a respectable 3.25 out of 5 for the Glenfarclas 21-year-old 54.2% ABV Whiskey Exchange pick. And with that, I will kick you on over to your malt musing. We will see you next Friday here on Malt Muser Whiskey Reviews. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's launch.